The greats on the biggest stages. You've got to be able to have that mental resilience, that tenacity, that endurance to show up when you need to show up the most. Let's get into it. It's G2 on blue side, BLG on the red. Nico, Rakan banned out first by the LEC's team. Over on the other side, LPL making sure Kalista does not show up.
And Draven gonna get banned out as well. Everyone is rinse and repeating this similar strategy, it feels like, against G2 ever since Gen G was able to do it. They dominated G2. Hans did not look comfortable on a lot of the meta AD carries, right? He's not really a Zeri guy. He's not really an Ezreal guy. Xayah and Kai'Sa are not his comfort picks. So you want to see Ken Hans really step up when the team needs him most, find comfort on these picks, perform at that top level, because they really need him to do it. And if he can have a pop-off game on a Xayah, on a Kai'Sa, on something like that, yeah, all of a sudden, maybe the Draven and the Kalista, those bans get dropped. Maybe you can create an opportunity for yourself to get on one of those picks that you're so feared on.
But the pressure is then on Hans to put up that performance on a different champion first. Last two bans of the first half of the draft are going to be two of the biggest power picks in the game right now. Orianna and Jarvan. Pretty much everybody is playing those champions. Nobody's playing them here in this game, but the Maokai, you saw that get locked in for G2. The number came up 95% pick ban presence. That's a very powerful first lock-in for G2 and for Yike.
It absolutely is, and we talk a lot about combinations of ultimates. I am such a fan of Renata. You know, we were seeing that in the last games. The Renata plus Maokai ultimate. I would also say Rumble plus Maokai. Maokai makes you stack, and those other ults make you want to spread, right? And when you combine them together, it's incredibly difficult to deal with. The Rumble is going to be available for Broken Blade if you wanted to go that route. Though it hasn't been, you know, one of his primary picks. He hasn't actually played it so far throughout the event. Whoa. But it is going to be the Cog Braum. This is one of the LEC specials for G2. People have been asking, where did it go? If you're not comfortable on the meta picks, where are these other picks that you look so good on in the LEC? And finally, backs against the walls, G2 will bring it out. It's the Cog Braum special here. Hans and Mickey, if they can show out on these picks in game number 1, maybe you end the Draven Kalista bans, because this is 5 straight games now that has been banned against them. No one's going to change it until you show you can beat it.
First 3 picks on the other side, though, BLG, they're also going to lock in a powerful tank jungler in that Sejuani. They're going to pick up the Xayah in the bottom lane for Elk, and Bin on Jax. We know this man can get things done on the champ.
Absolutely, Bin on Jax is frightening. Hans, though, 9 games on the Cog this year, won 8 of them. So really was one of their primary picks, you know, that the people kind of knew as one of those pocket picks that they're terrified of. And I'm so excited to see what the answers are going to be here. What is the combination that they're going to put down, you know, with that Xayah in the bot lane? Rakan obviously banned out. G2, I'm kind of expecting to focus more bans down towards that bot side. Are they worried about some of these range picks, these enchanters? The Bard's going to get taken away. Are they concerned about things along the lines of the Renata as well? Because they're not showing hard engage with their first 3. So I don't think Renata is as big of a concern. Right. Because you can play a longer range, more measured style of comp. I think Azir is a smart ban alongside what G2 are showing, because again, it's a non-committal comp. They don't have to go for this hard engage. You can just throw down the Maokai, use that first setup, use this Kog'Maw to kind of create this zone of control with that Braum, with that Maokai, have Hans go crazy. And I think that really functions well with a control mage like Azir. So smart bans so far through here. And the Renekton takeaway is just removing some of that comfort from Broken Blade, you know, trying to put him on a matchup that he's not going to be as practiced on against this Jax here. But this is a guy who brought out a lot of flavor picks as well, and I'm going to be interested to see if any of those will pop out. Right. You know, we saw him bringing out things like the Kled and the Swain against Renekton in the LEC playoffs. We've seen him bring out, you know, Yone. He can play, obviously, the Cassante. He can play things like Ornn. He can play really a wide breadth of picks. And I think there's a lot of different options here. I mean, if you can get a high DPS pick for caps, I still think something like an Ornn has merit here for G2. And you can just go simple scaling, full 5v5, and look to win in that way.
Well, let's see if they do want to lock in this pick here. That's Sylas, the power to steal away the ultimates. Maokai has long been a priority target for it, but instead, they're going to go with Melio. They're going to answer the power of Kog'Maw's range by enhancing the range of their own AD carry, as well as having the massive power of the ulti to just say, you know what, forget Maokai, reset button.
Exactly. You have that AoE cleanse. It's an AoE heal as well. So you have that Maokai ultimate coming down, and you want to pile in, you want to follow up off of that, but Emilio is going to say no to it. So it is going to be Caps, very likely, locking in the Jace here. Poppy, I would be expecting to go up towards the top. Of course, there is possibilities that they could flex things around and get really weird, but let's be honest, I'm not expecting it. You know, so it should be Poppy top into the Jax. That's a strong matchup. You do have the advantage, I think, for quite a few levels, honestly. And if Poppy's doing well early, even on one completed item, you can definitely brawl, you can definitely compete. So you're going to be strong on that side lane until Jax has multiple completed items, as long as you are staying in parity. The question is, can you compete in the 5v5? You know, how is that going to work out here? Because BLG, you know, with that Melio, definitely giving a lot of added strength here to Elk. The Taliyah, a really controversial pick. We've seen some great games on it. We've seen a lot of losses on it, though. It has an abysmal win rate here. And it is something that is potentially going to be pretty outranged by what G2 have drafted, but at the same time, G2 do have 3 melee champions that are going to be trying to charge in, get in on top of the Xayah. And when you're having to walk into and attack this Taliyah, it becomes very, very difficult because you're walking into the Unraveled Earth. You're walking into all of this Q poke that's coming down. So I think it's a really interesting game one, a really interesting draft, and I feel like it could go either way.
I love the fact that we're getting to see some signature champions from both sides here in this game number one, when we started off by talking about needing to see them bounce back from their defeats yesterday. Bin on Jax, I'm loving the fact that they were just confident to lock that in, say, we can deal with whatever you got. And over on the other side, Cog, Braum, that's big. Having the confidence to play that pocket pick that's so far outside the meta right now in what is the elimination series here in Worlds 2023 for G2, I'm loving it.
And we have to see, you know, what is the strategy going to be here for BLG? Because when you see Sejuani, Jax, Taliyah topside, as an enemy top laner, you're kind of shaking in your boots a little bit. That is a terrifying prospect to be going up against as Broken Blade. Even if you're comfortable in the 1v1, all of a sudden, there's this assist that can come through from Shun on the Sejuani. That 2v2 is incredibly powerful. There's magic damage and roaming potential there from the Taliyah that can get up there. If you can stay in parity, you can scrap with the Jax, you can win this matchup. But if all of a sudden 3 members are up there top and you're getting Tove and the Jax is getting put ahead, it becomes a very different story because BLG will have the advantage in playing through sides. But that being said, even with BLG, yesterday against T1, when Bin was able to get multiple early kills, it didn't amount to anything because the game in that game became all about 5v5, and they couldn't make it happen there. And I think similar things are possible here for G2, as we're seeing some players step off the stage. We'll give you an update as soon as we do have anything about that. But either way, hopefully going to be getting quickly into this. And yeah, G2 just obviously, you know, can play through sides, can scrap early, but much more focused, I think, on 5v5 and on being fully grouped, where BLG want to split the map.
And again, this is our last match before we get to the quarterfinals. We have already decided 7 of the 8 teams moving on to the knockout stage. We currently have 1 representative from North America, 3 representatives from Korea, 3 representatives from China. This is Europe's last chance to make it into the knockout stage. The analysts were talking beforehand about how G2 had one of the most successful runs of all time for like a Western team. Probably the most successful run of all time for a Western team.
The most successful, bar none.
Yeah. They really want to get back, climb back up to that former glory and make sure that they can make a run here.
And I think especially off of the back of such an upset yesterday against NRG, people had really high hopes for G2 this year. All the scrim rumors were having them up at the top with beating the top teams, competing with the top teams. And I think people really were starting to expect that G2 could make a really deep run, return to that glory. They still have the opportunity to do that, but they have to step up here against BLG. And it's going to be such an exciting one. But if they do make it to the quarterfinals, they will have well and truly deserved it, because this is going to be a real challenge here. It's the number 2 seed from the LPL that you will have to beat.
And you and I were talking about this in the ride over here earlier today. Everybody's looking at this tournament. They're looking at JDG, they're looking at Gen.G as favorites to be able to win the whole thing. And we were talking about, okay, if somebody's going to rock the boat, if somebody's going to change that up, who does it look like? And 2 of the teams that immediately came into the conversation were some of the other top LPL competitors, BLG being one of them. When these guys are in the zone, when they're firing on all cylinders, they are a ferocious team.
They really are, and I mean, we kind of got to see some of those fireworks, and especially, to me, one of the most impressive games of the entire event was from Bin on his Cassante against KT early on in the tournament. Just took the game into his own hands. Absolute monster performance, and we've seen that from Bin over the years. We know that these guys, when they are on, are really, really on. And the same thing goes for G2. These players, all 10 of them at their peak, are some of the best in the world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's rock and roll. It's time to get into it. The pause has been resolved, and we're on to the rift. The dog maw. He's ready to go.
Who let the dogs out?
Let's see if G2 or BLG will strike first. Quick reminder, you can connect your League of Legends account with the Prime Gaming account to grab the exclusive experimentation emote right now.
So Hans forgot to buy items.
Okay, that's...
So he is basing, okay, thank God.
That's,
I was getting really nervous for a second.
That's that could have been a problem. Okay, Hans has gone back to base. Yeah, dagger, 4-pot start.
Yeah, so really worried about potential poke there. You know, about getting maybe kind of whittled down here by this Enchanter support, by the Milio, plus the Xayah. Obviously, Q poke from the Xayah can come through. The bouncing ball, I think it's the, what is it, Omega Fire Kick, I want to say it is, or Ultra Omega Fire Kick, there you go. That one is pretty easy to hit. It kind of, it cheats a little bit, let's be honest. It kind of has that little guiding hit towards enemy champions if you bounce it off a minion. So the poke can actually be pretty reasonable. So clearly is worried about that poke and wants to stay healthy here. So much about Kog'Maw Braum, though, is just playing around your cooldowns. Because people think about this as, oh, Kog'Maw, that's a full scaling champion. You don't want to do anything. But actually, you are incredibly strong with your W up. When your W's down, you don't want to play the game at all.
You're a nice ranged minion with a dog skin.
Yeah, nice is even pushing it. But when you have the W up, you can scrap. You can step forward and take these aggressive trades. So it's all about playing around those cooldowns for both sides. For BLG, they want to track the W cooldown here from Hans and look to take aggressive trades when it is down.
And you can see the ping there on the enemy red buff as G2's ward spotted Shun walking through. He doesn't start the red yet, goes from the Raptor camp to the Krugs instead, but they at least have the exact position on where that enemy jungler's at.
I mean, this is so interesting, right? You know, clearly G2 are trying to trade really aggressively. They know they have the sustain advantage, but it is longsword 3-pot on the other side, so it's not a massive advantage. Yeah, both AD carries also playing biscuits here. So 2 potions already chugged here by Hans, 1 by Elk. They wanted to try to trade it really aggressively. You know, maybe he was even intentionally not buying to try to walk out on the map and see what the buy was from Elk and then adjust his buy to that. You know, that could be possible, that he wanted to see, okay, what kind of style are you playing for? If you're going to go Cull, maybe I go a less kind of defensive style of build. So maybe that was intentional and I kind of made a miscall on it. But it's going to be interesting to see how the sustain works out and if they're going to be able to survive down in this bot lane 2v2 early on.
Well, it is the early lane control for the side of BLG as Elk and On will get that massive wave crashing into the turret. Hans will pick up as many of these as he can as Elk will just try to get whatever poke there is to find while this farm is demanded underneath the turret. You can see up in the top side, it's also the push going the way of BLG there too. Bin's in control, mid lane's telling the same story. It's triple lane priority in the first couple levels for BLG.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have that push in. And that's going to make the job that much harder here for Yike. You know, when you're taking a look at the mini-map, there's already, you know, multiple deep wards here trying to track. There's a ward in the river as well, all trying to track where this Maokai is. Because when you're playing aggressively, when you have push, you are exposing yourself to the enemy jungler, you're exposing yourself to that gank, but you're also gaining the advantage of being able to get these deep wards down and track the enemy jungler to keep yourself safe, which is going to allow Shun to have kind of that edge, right, where he can have the priority on moving laners, where they're coming to help him first. And Bin, again, just trying to play this aggressively, trying to push in as Shun completes full clear, does bot side scuttle, and he's going to have an early base and be back out on the map. You can see Caps moving up towards the top side. He's trying to make sure that he can defend this scuttle. It is a pushing wave in towards him, but they want to secure that topside scuttle for Yike, and they will be able to do it.
Yep, it's going to be junglers both doing full clears, +1 scuttle crab. Everything settles out even. Yike throwing the sapling into the enemy jungle. Now he's going to make his recall, but it still is tempo advantage for Shun because he's back out onto the map as Yike is doing the recall.
Exactly, and you can tell Yike with the first strike, he is going to be solo AP. You know, it is going to be very likely just on-hit cog. Yeah, there's a little bit of mixed damage, but let's be honest, it's mostly solo AP, so he's very likely going to be Demonic Embrace, so we mostly see that into tank mythics.
Ooh,
as Hans,
nice.
Oh, Hans is getting real low.
Meanwhile, top side, Shun coming
trouble.
up. Immediately the flash from Bin to guarantee the land and the counter strike. Broken Blade. He's trying to get away, but he gets stunned. The flash is wasted, and Broken Blade falls first blood over to Bin's Jax.
The flash is wasted, and bot side, they've already lost a play and a 10 CS advantage here for Elk. That is massive. And I'm not sure if BB wanted to actually tackle the minion back up, or if he was trying to get a different angle. He was clearly trying to avoid the counter-strike there from the Jax, but that angle, man, he's so far up the lane that it's almost impossible to avoid the gank from that spot. And then flashing with the Sejuani passive stacking up means you're just going to be stunned up afterwards and taken down, so it's pretty rough there for BB.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. Hold on, we got a little bit of a scrap between the junglers. Caps has to be careful here. Only 300 HP left. Hitting level 6, turning back. Going to Yagao. Nearly kills him, forces out the flash from the BLG mid. Nicely played as Broken Blade rotates down now too. On has made the rotation after his first lane and jungle duo. And now Shun stepping forward. Cap still at about 400 HP. They're really, both teams just dancing, trying to see if they can find the angle to push this just a little bit further. They both know that if there's a slight misstep from the other side, you got an opportunity.
And that was beautiful movement from Caps, and Caps at his best is known for that. The sidesteps there took what was looking like a really hard losing fight where Yagao had a massive HP advantage and turned it around, forced out that flash, but now Shun and On are behind him. And they are in trouble.
Mickey and Hans got to try to get out of here. Hans going to get stunned up. They don't want to go underneath the turret here. Instead, going to turn the attention over onto Mickey instead. Not much more to find. So both summoner spells from Hans Sama. They're not going to get the kill, but that Kog'Maw is so vulnerable now.
And look at the wave. Shun's just going to walk around, but he was spotted by that river ward. So Yike has to get down here and cover them because this wave is pushing away from G2, so they need to crash it. The problem is, even with Yike here, he's low. You can't win the 3v3.
Yep. So
I don't think you can crash this wave even with your jungler here, and they're disrespecting.
They go for the flash, and it's Hans Sama immediately killed. G2 do not respect the return gank, and they pay the price.
They knew he was there. They saw that he walked around into the brush, and they just didn't think that he had stayed, and now they get punished so heavily. Bin taking a big hit, but does actually proc his demolish and will take a plate, but that is devastating for G2 because now you crash the wave as BLG down in the bot lane 2v2. You deny another probably, I would say, a wave to half a wave. There is a cannon wave, so it's not going to be nearly as bad. But Hans is going to walk back to lane. The wave is going to be pushing away from him. He's going to have no summoners, and you can just call down the repeat gank. Even potentially if Yagao can get pushed. He's 6 now on Talia. You can look to visit again. So we can watch this one more time. He uses the tackle to avoid the counter-strike. There was no angle for another minion, so I'm going to say, you know, that was still a good play. But the problem is, you're so far up the lane now that there's no getting out. And then this ward here, that ward spotted him. They knew that Shun was in this area. They knew that he was going to be around here. They saw him walk out of the brush, but they're just saying, he's not going to stay surely this long, right? But then there's no summoners on Hans. Q flash from Shun. It's an easy kill there. G2, a bit of disrespect. I mean, they really wanted to crash the wave because this is in a horrible spot, but bad goes to worse. They didn't have the health to do it, and they get punished.
It's a tough early game here for G2. Bin on this Jax. When they first went back and shopped after the scrap up here in the top side, after the first blood, Bin went straight for the plated steel caps instead of a tier 1 boot and a sheen, for example. He wants that extra move speed to be able to play these trades and play this lane however he needs to. If his jungler comes back up and he's already got move speed advantage, it makes the gank into a kill so much easier.
Absolutely, and Poppy does a lot of physical damage in these early trades, has to be respected, so is going to be effective in that regard as well. There's also going to be caps. You can see he's building lethality, so if you're thinking about who you're going to face in the side lanes, later on it's someone doing physical damage, so you're going to get value out of the move speed, you're going to get value out of that armor here as well. And it's G2 starting this up on the top side. BLG are aware of it, though. The question is, are they in position to challenge? I would say no. With the push from Broken Blade, he can move down. Poppy has so much value in these early skirmishes. So G2 will get an objective here and get themselves onto the board.
And honestly, they needed it. Everything up until this point was going BLG's way, so getting some extra gold into their coffers from a nice Herald charge could be what they need to make sure they don't fall too far behind.
Look at Yagao, though, cheating down. Anytime he moves down, they have to be worried about the ulti down towards bot side. They have to be worried about the potential dive, and they're setting up a trap.
Shun comes in, not quite going to find the engage on Yike, and now he turns it around with Twisted Advance. Cap's trying to put some DPS into the BLG jungler, but On has made his way up into the fight first. He still might have the Breath of Life if they need it, but he's not going to cast anything too early here.
Beautifully done by Yike. Really nice movement. Sidesteps the ult, then Twisted advances to avoid the shove, but they do force the flash off Mickey because he was on the roam and he thought they were going to fully commit to that. So he flashed over the wall, and on top side, it's BB's going to have to let that ulti expire. And unfortunately, not going to be able to get anything from it. But Bin just playing this matchup so aggressively and creating a big CS advantage there. He's just the master of this champion. To me, has been the best Jax in the world, it feels like, for a while now. When you think back to even his Suning run and some of the best tournaments that he's performed in, it's always on this iconic Jax, and he is way out ahead. You can see that BB and Hans both down alongside those supports nearly at the bottom.
On, gonna get hit with the winner's bite here. Immediately backing away with a cozy campfire for the extra heals. That campfire also close enough to Elk to give him the extra range to continue providing covering fire as the support backs away. The whole time, it's Yagao and Shun working together to take the first Drake of the game. Not a super early one. Almost 11 minutes in before we get that first Drake, so it's not going to be a super rapid soul stack.
But I will say, bad news for G2. You know, if you're trying to hope for a bad soul to come up, as Caps.
Yagao flashing away again. Caps doing a good job making sure that the BLG mid laner does not have that summoner.
Yeah, really good job. Just lying in wait there. Wants to punish him as he's threatening to roam the bot side. Camps in the brush, forces out the flash. But it is going to be that Chemtech coming up next, which means it's not a Chemtech soul, which means there's really high potential here because we got Cloud and a Chemtech. So you're getting a Primo soul guaranteed this game. So now I think we're going to see teams really put more priority on those dragons, because whether you get Ocean or Hextech or Infernal, whatever, you're going to be happy. But BLG instantly spot the TP, and they are running for the hills.
On is the target. Caps wants to try to find him. A little more damage from long range coming out from Hans Sama's Kog'Maw. Needs one more living artillery. Ain't going to hit it just yet. Oh, dies! Hans Sama dials it in.
Nicely done. Hans fully commits that. They needed that kill. They get it on Hans. He is on point. The LEC sniper raining down hell onto On, knocks him down. It will cost him a plate in mid and the TP plus both summoners from Hans, but still, they're getting some momentum. They're getting some gold onto this Kog'Maw, and that's absolutely something that they needed from this position. You can see though, Shun walks over that topside vision, so he has been spotted. There's pings around him, but it's a second plate going to Yagao, so that is a lot of gold given up.
Man, and they knew to go after Melio as well. I like the fact they didn't even waste time from the very start of the play. But now Caps just immediately jumped on by Shun, walks behind the W2, but it will not matter. Yagao puts him in the dirt underneath the rocks. BLG, kill number 3.
And that actually really hurts because you TP bot to help get your bot lane ahead. You lose all of the waves to do that. Then you walk back, you immediately die. So now potentially losing a third plate. Plus, I would say he lost between 3 and 4 waves doing this in this whole sequence of events. So now we're going to see Yagao, you know, from way behind in gold to now he's actually going to be about 300 to 500 gold ahead off of this play. So it is a pretty big swing in mid lane, but that is Caps getting this bot lane ahead. And BLG reacted quick. The instant heal for the move speed. Elk is pushing into Caps, trying to create space because he knows that On is the one that's vulnerable. He has his ulti to disengage. He's going to be fine. He gets a root down on the Caps. But Hans flashes forward, pops the ghost, nails multiple ults in a row, and this is just beautifully done here by BLG. Caps moving to the side to try to get that vision down. You stack the passive, you land that stun first. It guarantees the ulti to follow. And the fling there as well, and now not even gonna get the charge maybe.
Yeah, the Herald is destroyed before it can attack the turret. Yike and Caps both at half HP. Yagao and On singing a similar song as Broken Blade makes his way into the bottom lane with the Unleashed TP. Elk fighting it off using the ulti and the flash to get himself out. Ben is coming around from the side. He's gonna go after Hans. The Jax has arrived, the counter-strike is down, and Hans Sama's out of there.
He wants
Broken
more.
Blade might be number 2. He's waiting on the Steadfast Presence to fade. Ben's going in, flash into the empowered auto attack. He's gonna be stunned up into the wall, but it will not matter. Double kill for the Jax Copter. He's gotta try to get away now. The Caps is coming in to try to take him down. Shun's in the middle of 3. Ben stays alive with the TP coming in for BLG. Nobody on their side dies, and it's 2 more kills for the LPL's number 2 seed.
Gigabin going off in the bot lane, the counter TP. The staff starts spinning, and Jax ain't stopping. He's charging in for that second kill, flashing in under the tower, takes down Hans, takes down Broken Blade, and you can see it in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot. That advantage in the top lane is huge already.
I feel like almost every time we see one of these, there's at least one going the other way, but it's all BLG here.
You can see G2 know we need to get Hans into this game. First it's Caps TPing down to the bot lane to help him out. Then it's Broken Blade TPing in as well, but they had no eyes on the teleport here from Ben. No way out for Hans because he's missing those summoners. And then Ben, he realizes, I've got this. I can actually take him out here. Flash forward, there's the W. Flash from Broken Blade to slam him into the wall, but he can't pick up the passive buckler, and On is there with the shield to save him. And then in goes Caps, but On held the breath of life the whole time. Baits him in, has the heal to keep Ben alive, and it ends up being nothing there for G2.
The shields from the warm hugs, the healing from the cozy campfire, the healing plus the cleanse These words sound so ridiculous when I'm saying them in this situation.
I was just looking, you're talking so serious. The warm hugs were critical there.
But it's true.
The soft blanket that Emilio put on his teammates. The love and care with which he healed them up from the breath of life.
The comfort that Emilio gives to the Jax saved his life, man. Ben gets away with that. He's got his Divine Sunderer now.
Respect.
The bane of all tanks. The Jax is now in primo real estate here in the side lane.
Well, man, on just walking around the map, giving out some warm hugs, you know?
you're really loving this stupid name. It's great. It's great. All right, let's see.
It's a vibe, man.
Let's see if G2 can make any sort of a stand against BLG here for this second Drake. You already mentioned the fact that these are the two usually least desired souls.
Yeah.
So if BLG can go off to a 2-0 Drake lead, they're going to feel really good about it. And it looks like G2 are saying, you know what? Gold deficit's too big. It's a fight in open ground. Too risky.
And look at the topside summoners. You know, there's no flashes on the top side for G2 whatsoever. I think it's pretty scary. You know, Caps could potentially be taken advantage of there. Yes, there's missing summoners on the other side as well, but I think inherently BLG in a better spot. They had the inside track, so they will get it, and it's going to be Infernal Soul here. So opens up that map a little bit more, which honestly I think does tend to favor BLG when you're playing a composition that wants to attack from multiple angles. Having the reduced architecture, less walls on the map, more angles of attack, and less walls that Poppy can send you into always is going to feel really, really good. So now moving in towards that bottom side, taking the dragon, you can see On was there to support Shun on that bot side. Yagao pushing it up. They are really playing it out smart. And Bin not overstepping on the top side because he knows he's on the weak side of the map. So you push in bot, you guarantee the tower there, you take away the jungle camp, you push up mid. Sure, you lose a tower on top side, but they are getting that little bit extra. And that is one of the signs of these great macro teams, these teams that know how to play the map, know how to press an advantage. You know, even when you try to make something happen across the map, you're losing out that little bit more.
17 minutes into the game, it's a 3,000 gold lead with +2 Drakes for BLG on an Infernal Soul map. They're sitting in a great spot to push this one even further, snowball it even harder. If you're G2 at this point, what is the play to bandage that bleeding and get this to a game state where you can fight back?
I mean, I think the play is just all eggs in the Hans basket. It's what they've kind of already been doing. You know, you can see that they know they need to get Hans in a good position. Your side lane can be losing, but if you can get Hans in a good enough position and everyone just collapses around him, peels off these melee champions, you give that Kog'Maw time to stand in fire with the Braum passive stacking, he can win you a team fight. He can make some magic happen, but they have got to get him the gold that he needs. They've got to keep him safe. So G2 are going to try to set up shop around where Hans is. They're going to set up wards. They're going to try to create these safe spaces to get him gold and make sure that he stays accelerated.
Well, the problem is peeling off a melee champion is one thing. Peeling off the best Jax in the world who currently has 3 kills very far ahead of the curve of the game is an entirely different matter. So much of this game is going to be on Bin's shoulders one way or the other. If Jax gets to play the game he wants to play, G2's dead in the water.
And that's a terrifying thing, right? You're playing Ghost Flash, you're not playing Cleanse, so if he gets it up on top of this Kog'Maw, even if you have the peel there, is they're going to look for a pick here on Yike.
Oh, they lined up the Weaver's Wall to just barely reach the part of the terrain, so Yike had to flash over. He keeps himself alive. Broken Blade nicely timed on the ulti there to knock Yagao away so he can use the Demolish proc, instantly take that tier 1 turret in the bottom lane.
Good stuff there from Broken Blade. Needed to get a little bit of something back because he's likely going to be the person who's taxed with stopping Bin here in the side lanes. And it's going to be a really tough challenge. Elk feeling himself a little bit, trying to get aggressive there. We'll see where he wants to go, you know, with his build next. Hans, I'm also curious as well because there's so many different thought processes on how you actually want to play Kog'Maw. Some players will just go 2 damage items into full tank. Some players, you know, really will stack the damage items and depend on their team to keep them safe.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of different options that you can go. You almost always, you know, want to have Hurricane. You almost always want to have Rage Blade. Sometimes people go into Bork. Sometimes people just go pure tank from there and just rely on the base damages and the attack speed to be more than enough. You can also see Mickey going Locket. You're going to go those most kind of like altruistic, the most helpful items towards your teammate.
Kog'Maw's the main character.
He is absolutely the main character. You're the supporting guest. It's protect the president in this one for G2. So going to be really interested to see where Hans takes his build. You know, does he feel like he's going to be safe on just purely damage items with his team's peel, or does he feel that he needs to build some resistances and some safety himself?
And we're talking a lot about Hans because he is on this champion that almost always commands its entire team to play around it. Hold on now, on, face checking, Caps ready to bring it down, but it's Yike with the sapling that ends up getting the kill.
Caps drops the hammer there on, who tried to check the brush with his Q. Didn't hit anyone. Is like, oh, guess it's safe. But Caps was recalling there and liked his chances in that one. Gets the freebie, plus gets both summoners off of on, which is really nice. It's those kind of plays that you're going to have to get. And you can see that G2 really focusing on topside vision. Look at the wards that they're kind of littering around this topside, around the Baron. There are, of course, some BLG wards for potential flank angles there, too. But G2 really putting emphasis on this. I think because they have Cog, they know they can shred Baron, and they're expecting BLG to play towards bot side on this next Dragon. And that leads them to believe, hey, maybe we can actually make some sort of a Baron rush play or get a turn and a pick if we can control vision. So step one, controlling vision. They're trying to do that. We'll see if they can go forward from here.
Big moment coming up, 5 seconds left until the third Drake of the game spawns. It's sole point if BLG takes it. Big, big stuff. G2, you can see they're already gathering their players here in the bot side river to try to stop it. They're rushing the Drake on spawn.
Yeah, they got it. I mean, Elk was on a recall, Yagao was topside, Bin based. Maybe BLG try to go for a fight afterwards, but there's no shot you're actually going to be able to get that Dragon.
Seismic shove onto Mickey. Shun's going to be knocked away. He stays alive for now. Mickey needs to retreat here too. With Shun taking that much damage, BLG don't want to push this any further despite the lead that they have.
Really nicely done by G2. You can see BLG really was prioritizing item completions. 2 items there, 2 items there. They wanted to go back to base, they wanted to spend their gold, but the timing was such that they gave that a window of opportunity for G2 to steal away a Dragon. And now G2 has kind of bought that little bit of a lease on life here. They've gotten themselves some more time. And BLG must maintain vision in this area because Cog can absolutely blast through a Baron. He is one of those really, really fast takers. And BLG has not been able to maintain river control. They are now moving in and are going to try to probably clear out some of these wards, though.
Man, if you're Broken Blade, you have to be so respectful of Bin's Jax. Now, you mentioned the 2-item power spike. Black Cleaver is so strong in these side lane situations. The armor shred plus the move speed with how far the distance is from Broken Blade and any semblance of safety. If that Jax catches him out, he's in trouble. Nice steal there from Shun, making sure that they can secure the blue buff from G2's side of the map, as On and Elk are also going to continue pushing forward.
And just a minute ago, we showed Bin maybe in some trouble. They're TPing in, they want to commit.
Yeah, they really want to go after this. Bin recognizes it, tries to flash away. Now Elk's ready to fire back. Goes for the blade caller, but he ain't going to find anything yet. The feathers fly. Mickey tries to step it out. Elk's only got 300 HP remaining as On wants to block that nature's grasp. BLG disengage it. Caps and Mickey both very low. Elk at about half HP. Bin also down to critical health. He needs to do a recall. Bin's got the Unleashed TP still ready to go. Caps has one of his own if he needs to take a recall too.
Yeah, G2 really wanted to commit to that play. They commit the TP, the flash as well from Caps. They can't get a kill, but they do at least get the flash off of Bin. They get the ulti off of Elk, but the question is that enough? And I'm not sure because there's a lot of summoners spent. Mickey flash, Caps flash, Hans as well with that ghost. And now they're saying, you spent too much. We're going to make you fight us right here, right now. Caps is TPing back, but Mickey is very far away, and Bin is threatening this flank.
Caps with a little bit of poke, only onto Yagao. Cozy Campfire is really good in these situations. The AoE heal over time keeps these health bars topped off against some of that poke. G2 trying to approach, make sure that BLG don't just get uncontested control over the river. Shun coming into the mid lane, Cap's gonna be caught out. Shun still looking for him, Cap's at 25%. Remember, he already used his Unleashed TP to get back to where he is right now, so if he recalls, he has to walk back.
Good job from G2, though. They closed ranks around Caps. He was missing his flash, so he needed everyone else to step up and be able to keep him safe in that position. If he dies there, it is absolutely devastating. It's likely going to be a Baron start for their opponents. So good job by G2 getting themselves out of that situation. The battle rages on, though, for vision of this top side. You know, it was just about 2 or 3 minutes ago. I highlighted there was a huge amount of wards from G2. Then BLG come in, clear everything out. Now G2 again takes control off the resets. They're reestablishing vision control. It's going to be so much about this. And BLG, right off the reset, back towards that topside river. There is clearly so much emphasis on this, and there will continue to be throughout this game because they know both teams really can threaten a very, very quick Baron.
And man, I got my eyes on Elk. We've been talking a lot about Hans because the Kog'Maw's the main character of G2's squad. But Elk on the Xayah, this is a champion that when played to its maximum can absolutely carve up a team fight. And Elk's the kind of player that can do that mechanical performance.
He's the man with the knife. He's looking to do some carving.
Let's see if Caps can get away from this one. Ygal brings in the Weaver's Wall to back up Ben. Guarantee that this is not a fair fight. Ben's on a rampage. Caps is in a coffin. What can G2 get back? Anything?
I don't know. I mean, you get mid-push, but that's going to be about it, because if you overcommit, you're going to get double TP'd on. Both the TPs are up for BLG, so you can't really push too far here as G2. It would be a bridge too far. So Ben TP's out towards mid. Yagao just continues pushing towards bot. Broken Blade's looking to answer, but you can see on the minimap, there's kind of this little skirmish, and now he's just going to TP up towards topside. They're going to force the Baron right here, right now.
BLG's ready to go. Caps is still dead for another 15 seconds, and he doesn't have TP when he respawns. Yagal's got to make sure he gets back to safety, flashing out of the way of the Glacial Fissure. Baron's still going to be burned down. Yike, looking for an entryway into the pit. They're not wanting to burn it down too low just yet. It's going to be slain by Elk on the Xayah. Frontline, tanked up by Ben, but he goes golden, keeping himself alive. Yike's going to die first. Blade Caller locks down Mickey. It's 2 kills, and Baron over to the side of BLG, and a double kill for Yagao.
It's the LPL forcing fights around missing cooldowns, missing summoners. This is their bread and butter. They kill Caps on side lane because he had no flash. They start Baron because he had no TP. They know they can make it happen. They know they can find the angle to do it. They secure it with the Xayah E plus the Smite. That combo very strong in nailing down these Barons, and Maokai does not have a good secure.
And they immediately get the Drake right after for Soul Point. Isaac, behind the scenes in a previous series, you were telling me about how you think it's one of the strengths of the LPL. The region plays so well around missing cooldowns, and they just showcased it here again with BLG's series of plays.
Absolutely. This is one of the strengths, one of the hallmarks of the best LPL teams. Is a lot of people in the West will say, well, why are you fighting? There's not an objective. The LPL will fight to get cooldown advantages. The LPL will fight to create these incremental edges where they can then slam home an edge because you're missing a summoner, you're missing an ult, and they feel that is enough to make it happen. So they go here. It is a bit of a flip, but they have the edge of the Xayah with the Feather Pull to try to secure it, and they're able to turn. They're always going to win the fight because even though Caps is going to respawn, he has no TP, so he can never join. So even if that's stolen, BLG are confident that they can get the fight win, get something from it, and now have a massive advantage, nearly 7K here in the lead. And it's going to be so hard for G2 to come back from here.
They're down so much, man. 7,000 gold lead. Soul Point Baron still up for BLG for the next minute and 15 seconds.
I mean, just look up at the top lane, right? It's 3 completed item to 1 in the garage sale here. And now the Baron buff is going to be there for Ben. And tanks cannot clear minions against the Baron buff. It is one of their big weaknesses against these split pushers. You just can't do anything about it. So now it's going to be incredibly hard. You're having to overload the top side because the Jax is pushing up there. But guess what? That means Elk gets a free tier 2 in mid. Bot wave is also pushing in. They're going to try to make a play onto Ben, but he's too far back. Gao is covering him. Shun is covering him. And it's going to be really tough for G2.
Once Jax has the Zhonya's Hourglass, it is so obnoxious to try to kill him.
Yeah.
Kleber has ability haste, Sunderer has ability haste, Hourglass has ability haste. Mickey's trying to go in and make something happen here in the mid lane. Shun is back over the wall. They got to be careful. Yagao firing off the Weaver's Wall, but nobody's going to be caught. Elk stepping up, auto attacks into the turret. Broken Blade trying to use the Keeper's Verdict, but just lets it run out instead.
But again, they're buying time for Ben, right? They throw out these ultis, they throw out these cooldowns, they draw people here, and then Ben takes the turret top. And as you say, you know, once you have the Zhonya's, when it comes time to team fight, you jump on Hans, you press Counter-Strike. As Counter-Strike expires, you go into Zhonya's, you come out, you Counter-Strike again. And Hans cannot walk past you to fight. Nope. He has to respect that or he'll die. But it means that he's not going to be able to effectively deal damage, and that is the problem that G2 have. They're looking for an engage, though.
Yike wants it. Nature's Grasp goes in. They get the Keeper's Verdict for the ejection as Mickey is in the front line trying to get himself away. The feathers fly. Elk's only got 10 HP left. He's got to get back out of the fight now. BLG have been held at bay. G2 will hold the line.
Almost was able to take down Elk there out of that ultimate from the Xayah. Kog'Maw shot one of those ultis out, almost clipped him. Elk had to flash, so they do get the summoners, they do get the ult. They hold the line here. They've lost a lot of turrets though, a lot of gold, and it's gonna be in this next fight here is that much more difficult, as it will be Infernal Soul on the line. But I like the engage here from G2. Maokai LT comes out, they look for the engage. The Breath of Life is there to disengage it, but it's a great ejection from Broken Blade. And you can see as Elk steps forward, he gets stunned up by the Braum passive with Cog hitting him. He does force out summoners, though, from the Kog'Maw on the other side. And that may be even more devastating as Jax has Flash, Shun has Flash. They are going to be targeting Hans.
So another big problem here. Once again, the timers are lining up for BLG. They have a really good situation where if they rush this soul on spawn, they can grab it, and then there's still 20 seconds before the Baron's up. So it's not like G2 can just try to trade that. If you can hard force this soul, immediately translate that over to Baron, you're in a great spot.
And you have to make the judgment call now as G2. Do we force here for the fight, even if we don't have good positioning? Or do we give up the soul, give up this guaranteed permanent power with the hope that maybe we can make a miracle happen at the Elder and hope that that just erases everything previous? Because if you give up the Infernal Soul without fighting, you're also giving up the Baron, and then you're going to have to try to hold against this massive onslaught that will be coming through. So G2 have to decide, can we actually hold there, or do we risk now? Because if you fight now, you're betting your whole game on a fight where Hans has no cooldowns.
It's one of those situations in the game where all of your plays are low percentage plays, and you just have to find the highest one of the low.
What's the best one?
Yeah, that's the trouble of these kinds of situations. And it's a situation that BLG have managed to play so well enough to force G2 into.
Oh, look at Yagao, he has an angle here.
Yagao looking for a Weaver's Wall, fires it off, separates Yike from the rest of the team. Seismic Shove, ain't gonna find a mark just yet. Nature's Grasp flies out, Shun trying to block it from the rest of the team. Broken Blade here in the front line. Not a whole lot coming out of that one.
No, not going to be able to get much. They do get the ulti off of Shun and Yagao, though, so relatively even trade. And G2 clearly have drawn the line of the sand. They're going to fight here. They're going to fight now. It'll be all about Hans.
Elk is onto the Drake. He's going to start DPSing. The rest of the team's just keeping everybody away. Shun is close enough to smite, but that's it. Broken Blade goes for the Keeper's Verdict. Ben is going to be taken out, but the Infernal Soul goes over to BLG. Shun here with the front line as Mickey's taken down to 10 HP. Elk going to find the kill on that one as Ben re-enters the fight in the back line, grabbing the kill on Hans. Broken Blade trapped in the pit, has to flash out to try to get away, but it's already 3 dead bodies in G2 jerseys. BLG just won the game.
Ben found the angle with the TP, gets in onto Hans, takes him down, no problem. They get the Infernal Soul. They're going to head up towards that Baron. They don't feel that they can close it out just here right now, so they're going to try to guarantee it, grab both of these buffs, and then they're going to have everything that they need to make this happen. And again, Ben, you can see him on the side here. G2 are marketing him. They actually knock him out, but watch this. On the minimap, he TPs. He TPs to this ward instead of running back. G2 did not expect him to get there that fast. He gets right in onto Hans. Smart stuff there from Ben. And on the other side, the Dragon was secured. BLG, no doubt about it, looking in form today. And if you weren't already thinking it would be an impossible challenge here for G2, now the GA comes in for Ben. Now the 4th item comes in for Elk. Everything is there. Shun picks up the Anathema's Chains. Guess who that's going on? It's going on Kog'Maw.
There is one player on BLG who has even died this game, and it's the support. These guys are playing some immaculate League of Legends here. Ben on the Jax, 5-0-1, making choices like what you were talking about to go for the unexpected usage of the TP just to catch them off guard and secure yourselves a team fight win and a soul and a Baron. Mickey stepping away from the Seismic Shove. Still on top of the Unraveled Earth. Keeper's Verdict again. Gonna try to find that removal as Caps has to go into the stasis. Elk now in a spot where he's gonna fight off 1v4. Finds a killing spree on Caps. Elk still alive, but finally gonna be shut down by Hans. Yagao and Ben have made their way into the fight. Flash forward, counter strike. Shun leads the charge. There it is. There it goes, baby. BLG just stomp them.
BLG, they're going to take this game, a clean game 1 against G2, 16-3. The soul to their name, both Barons as well, make no doubt about it. BLG are here to play.
It's the last series before the quarterfinals, and BLG come out swinging. They'll start it off 1-0.
It was a great final engage there from G2. You had to take a swing. If you just sit back, you're going to lose the game. They did get onto Elk. They were able to take him down. But from that position, you have to commit so much to kill off BLG's AD carry. And he's put out so much damage before he goes down that you can't deal with Yagao. You can't deal with Ben, who was just a menace in this game for G2.
Awesome, awesome play coming out from BLG. To hear more about it, let's toss back over to the analysts.
awesome play from BLG and awesome play from Bin as well.